14th chapter, beginning in the 17th verse of Exodus, or Shemot. This is such a wonderful Torah portion. I can't operate a phone that I borrowed. It won't work the way I want it to. Anyhow, this Torah portion deals with I'll just get into it. 17th verse. And it came to be when Pharaoh had let the people go that Elohim did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, though that was near. For Elohim said, lest the people regret when they see fighting in return to Egypt. Father, I come before your throne and I ask that you deliver this message this morning. I ask that you would remove me totally. In the name of Mary of Yeshua, Amen. Why do you think he said that in the very first verse of this Torah portion?
That's the reason he went to the southern route.
Why? What took place in the northern route? What took place that he says, no, when they see war, they're going to tuck tail and run. 30 years before this, there was a group of people, the Midrash says, that they took off, a group of Israelites led by Ephraim to Canaan. They were tired of it. They were gone. And when they went and they settled in Canaan, the Philistines attacked them, and there was a great bloodshed. It was a tragic loss. So it was still fresh in their mind. 30 years. How long has it been since 9/11, 9/11? Can y'all believe it's been 20 years? To us, it is. These people that have been born but since, it just doesn't make any difference to them. But I digress. They still had it fresh in their mind that, no, we go that route, there's going to be another whooping. We don't want to go there. So Abba elected to take them through the southern route. Verse 18, so Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds. Now some people say that's the Red Sea. My scripture says it's the Sea of Reeds. And whenever you go and you look in your maps at the back of your book, you'll see that there's two seas. There's a Red Sea and there's a Sea of Reeds. And it's quite controversial where the crossing was. It doesn't make any difference. That's not what we're going to get into today. We're going to get into the crossing. Now, when they left Egypt, they left when? Pesach. Y'all remember? They just got through. And he says, now leave. As soon as you get through eating that lamb and the sun comes up, y'all leave. Now, as we go a little bit further in here, in 19 it says, and Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him, for he certainly made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from here with you. The Talmud and the Midrash says that, and the Mishnah say that they exhumed his coffin from the depths of the Nile. They knew where it was. They carried him with him. My question to you, and I haven't been able to get a satisfactory answer. All of Joseph's brothers, where were they buried? And did they go back to Canaan with them? See, every day of the journey for the 40 years that they were in the wilderness, they toted Joseph's bones with them. Who's the one that carried his bones? Was there any respect given him? I mean, there's so many thousands of questions that comes up in my mind before we even get on the road here. See, they had to have gone and they had to have harvested all the trees, the cypress trees. They had, the other trees that were used to build the tabernacle. They had to harvest all of those things. And they had to cut them up into right size lumber. Huh? And olive? Oh, and haul them. Yeah. This is what I'm getting at. There's so many things that has to take place. And you think that all of a sudden they're just, the next day they load up and they go. So when you read this chapter, you don't see all these dynamics that take place before. Like I said, the trees had to be harvested. Material had to be made. Tapestries had to be. The cloth had to be there. The threads. Everything had to. The silversmiths. They carried their tools of trade. Everything that had to be carried into the wilderness for the construction of the Mishkan had to be gathered up before this day of leaving. And when they left, and they shook the proverbial dust off their sandals. Done. I'm leaving. Now, I've never read this before. I've read it, don't get me wrong, but I've never read it until this last week. Verse 21, and Jehovah went before them by day in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night.
So they were traveling all the time.
They were traveling 24 hours a day. When God said go, they went. And they went at a trot. Mom, I got tickled at Mama the other day. She says, Gerald, why don't you trot on out there to the mailbox and see if that check comes? And I looked at him, I said, I'd like to see you trot. Papa says, well, why don't you trot out there and see how much it rained? And I said, I'd like to see Mama. I'd like to see either one of them trot anywhere. But the fact of the matter, I did see Papa trot to the trailer to slam the gate on that heifer that we loaded up. And that was a sight to see. My Papa, 87 years old, trotting at a fast clip to shut the gate. Well, in your mind, you were running. You were really at a high trot. Oh, it's family joke here. I'm sorry. It's still funny. The column of cloud did not cease by day, nor the column by fire by night before the people. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they turn and camp before Haroth, between Migdol and the sea. Now, here's something before we go any further. You've got a cloud by day. We have no idea what that cloud looked like. We have no idea. Was it a column? Did it look like a tornado? Did it look like a big West Texas whirlwind? Or was it just a thunderhead that just stayed over them the entire time, and when it moved, they moved? Any idea? Use your wildest imagination here. And that column of fire at night, wouldn't that scare the snot out of you the first time you saw it? No. They weren't given any warning. The cloud, the evening comes, another day breaks, and a column of fire appears. Ooh, what is that? That's where that cloud was. The cloud and the fire are constant. During the day, you can't see the fire. It's there. At night, you can't see that tornado cloud coming to you because it's dark. But you can see the lightning in the cloud, but you can certainly see the fire in this cloud at night. Don't you know that would get their attention? I mean, if all the plagues wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough to get your heart right with God, the column of fire and the cloud, don't you think that would do it? First time you ever seen it, and it lasted for the 40 years. It got so commonplace, there it is. It's moving, let's go. Mama, pitch the tent, let's go. Gather up, we're going. Oh, he stopped. It's time to pitch the tent and settle down for a little while. In verse 3 of chapter 14, Pharaoh shall say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness has closed them in. He's smacking his lips. Let's get them. But you know, he's got spies. He's wanting to know where they're going. Although he sent them off, and all of Egypt has deposited with them the gold and silver, the riches of the land. You just get out of here. He sent spies to see where they're going. And I think, in my heart, I systematically think that he's also like Iran. Iran funding Hamas and Hezbollah. He funded Amalek. Funded them. Tell me where they're going. So when they got to this point, and you've heard the story, the children of Israel was caught between the soldiers, the war machine of Egypt, and the deep blue sea. Where would they go? Verse 9, and the Egyptians pursued them, and all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them, camping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth, between Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, and I probably butchered those words, and when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes and saw the Egyptians coming up after them, and they were greatly afraid. So the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah, and they said to Moshe, did you take us away to die in the wilderness because there was no burial sites in Egypt? They've just witnessed the miracles that Jehovah had demonstrated with the plagues. The column of fire and then the cloud is right before them. And yet they're still afraid of the Egyptians. They're afraid to lose their lives. There's 600 chariots, charioteers. The massive army in pursuit. And all they can think of is, would you lead us out? Because there wasn't any graveyards, any cemeteries in Egypt. We have to start our own here. Now we have 3 million people, more or less, crying. They don't have any place to go and they think they're going to be annihilated. Verse 12, is this not the word that we spoke to you in Egypt, saying, leave us alone and let us serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. Poor, pitiful me. But you have to understand they've been on a forced march day and night. They're tired. Their children are squalling in their ears. They're hungry. They're old and they're young. They're all weak, worn out, and now they're looking at certain death from the hand of Pharaoh. Verse 14, Yehovah does fight for you, and you keep silent. Yehovah said to Moshe, why do you cry to me? Speak to the children of Israel and let them go forward. This is the point of the message that I want to get to. Why are y'all crying to me? Why? Why are you so worried? I told you to go. What are you coming to me for? I can just see Moshe's face. Well, look, there's the Egyptians, there's Pharaoh, and there's the deep blue sea. Where do you want us to go? I've already given you a way out. There's a character in this Torah portion that is not mentioned by name. His name is Nachshon. Nachshon ben Aminadav. Now this man, he was a prince of the tribe of Judah. He was the brother-in-law of Aaron, the high priest. And when everyone else hesitated, Nachshon walked out into the sea. Can you imagine that? You're looking at this, and I'm supposing that he's a man of age, according to our present time. How old is Moshe? 80. He is Aaron's brother-in-law. Puts him 85-ish. 90? Better? And you see him, staff in hand, walking down to the beach, the shore of the Sea of Reeds, and he keeps walking. Plodding along, staff in hand. Water gets to his ankles, to his knees, past his thighs, over his hips. About belly deep now. He's still walking. Chest deep. His beard starts floating. He's having to tilt his head back to keep his nose out of the water. The wind blows and a wave flushes his nostrils and he kind of coughs and he keeps on going. And by this time, Moshe's looking over there at the things that are taking place, and Abba tells him, I told you. Now raise your hands, extend them over the sea. And when he did, a miraculous east wind parted the sea.
That's faith.
That's faith. God told him to do it. Nachshon was a fifth generation descendant of Judah, son of Jacob. His father was Aminadav, son of Ram, son of Hezron, son of Perez, son of Judah. He appears for the first time in Torah when Aaron marries his sister. Aaron took for a wife Elisheva, daughter of Aminadav, sister of Nachshon. The Torah generally records names only when mentioning someone new. And the commentaries wonder why Elisheva's brother is mentioned here as well. They suggest that before marrying Elisheva, Aaron had inquired about Nachshon, his future brother-in-law. And we learn from Aaron that when searching for a wife, it is important to vet her brothers. Fine, upstanding brothers indicate that the sister will be a fine, uplifting, and fitting partner for life. 7 days after leaving Egypt, the Israelites found themselves trapped between the raging sea and the vengeful Egyptian army. And then God gave Moshe a command that seemed impossible to fulfill. Speak to the people of Israel. They shall travel. Where are we going? The order was given to go forward, sea or no sea. But who would make the first move? And this is where Nachshon stepped in. It says that Nachshon's reward for his faith enumerates rewards. He was given the name of Nachshon since he jumped into the waves, which is Nachshon, or the sea. 5 heroes of Israel were among his descendants: David, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. The eternal kingdom of Israel was given to his tribe, Judah, and it follows that Moshiach will be his descendant as well. Can you believe that? Because of his faithfulness, Abba decided to use his family as the tree to bring forth Mashiach, Yeshua. There's a lot of bravery in that family. There's a lot of faith in that family. Judah is the only tribe that was given the honor of keeping Torah. For all the generations to come. It wasn't given to the Levites. It wasn't given to the other tribes. It wasn't given to Joseph. It wasn't given to Ephraim or Manasseh. It was given to Judah. Henceforth, Yeshua comes from the tribe of Judah. He steps into the water. The waters recede. The Israelites follow suit. 3 million people. The Egyptians think, surely they'll get stuck in the watery bed of the sea, and all they see is a dust cloud. Well, if they can do it, I can do it. So they're ordered into the sea. And it says in scriptures that there's a wall of water on the right, there's a wall of water on the left, and you can actually chunk rocks into the wall of water. Can you imagine how terrified it would be to be mikvahed and not get wet? That would scare me. And I know it would scare you. Tom, as practical as you are, if Lake Colorado City was to open up and God told you to walk through it, you'd look over there and, now what would be the purpose of this? You wouldn't do it unless there was something behind you forcing you into the water, into this dry land. Henceforth, the reasoning behind the Egyptian army chasing them. I've got to baptize my people. I've got to mikvah my people before I can get them into a place of teaching. And the only reason they're going to go is because there's a threat of life behind them. So the Egyptians chase every one of them across. And it's the last Israelite, the last Egyptian that flees Egypt. And they're all Egyptians, mind you. Every one of them are Egyptians. They weren't born in Canaan. They were born in Egypt. It's just like saying, Greg, you're from Oklahoma. No, I'm not either. Don't you say that. I'm a Texan. I was born in Texas. They were born in Egypt. They were Egyptians. They were Israel. They were children of God. They were Israelites by choice. God chose them. It's mixed multitude. There were people that had no relatives that were Hebrew. None. They just chose to follow them out. Did that mean that they were children of Israel? Absolutely. They chose a better way. Did that make them Jews? Absolutely. In the current definition of Judaism. They crossed over. Did they not? Did they not cross over the Sea of Reeds on dry land? That makes them Jews from the tribe of Judah because of Nachshon's heroism, because of his faith in Abba. God told me to go. He's going to make a way. I'm going. Water gets up to his nostrils. You know he's got to be thinking, well, he's got to be doing something quick or I'm going to have to grow gills. I can't see any doubt in his mind because he kept walking. And that's when the sea parted. When God tells you to do something, haven't you always been taught that he'll provide you? He'll provide for you? I've told this story several times in my lifetime. There was a missionary. And he told his wife, he says, we're supposed to sell everything that we've got. We've got to get rid of everything. And he wants us to go on a mission trip. Where? I don't have a clue. I don't know where. I just know that we're supposed to go to the airport. Okay. They go to the airport and they're standing there and well, we don't have the money to buy an airline ticket. We don't know where to go. So what do we do? We're just standing here. And a man walks up to him. God told me to buy you 2 tickets. One way. And here they are. Man looked at his wife and says, I guess I know now where we're going because here we have the tickets to go to China. Spent years in China and it was time to go. God told him, go to the airport. They go to the airport. Don't know where I'm going. Don't know how I'm going to get there. Don't have any money. We've been missionaries. Man walks up to him, 2 tickets, one-way tickets. That's faith. Do you have that kind of faith? Do you have the faith of Nachshon to step off into the deep blue and allow him to part the waters for you? Chapter 15. I'm going to close it up with this because it says it's the song of the sea. It's simple, 19 verses. But it describes what took place. It's also called the Song of Moshe. What song do you think we're going to sing when we get to paradise with him?
Song that we don't have right now.
This song. This Song of Moshe. It's relatively short. I sing to Jehovah, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. You can go on and you can go on and you can go on. You can read these 19 verses. And you can see the miraculous delivering hand of Jehovah. Well, I don't know that he'd do that for me. What makes you think he wouldn't do it for you if he did it for them? Are you any different? Does he love these Israelites more than he loves you? Did he not create you the same way that he created them? Did he not breathe his spirit into your nostrils and choose you to be his? Did he not tell you that I will take care of you? I will feed you, I will clothe you, I will make every provision for you, and yet you fear. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Moshe was standing there praying, Abba, what do we do now? And Abba says, what are you doing standing here? Didn't I tell you to walk? Didn't I tell you to march? Now don't go talking to me anymore. Get to it. If God tells you to do something, there's no sense in praying about it. A long time ago, I thought this was so humble. A man was asked to do something. He said, well, let me pray about it. I thought that was such an humble statement. I'm going to be pious and I'm going to pray about it. If he was in the Word of God, he would have known at that moment whether his yes would be yes or his no would be no. You don't have to pray about it. God will give you the unction to do it or not do it. And if he gives you the unction to do it, why do you hesitate? What are you afraid of? The ridicule of man. Last week I told you that there's men, I know, I can count on both my hands men that are afraid to darken the doors of a church or a shul because they'll have a fight with their wife. Who had you rather fight with? God? You're certainly going to lose. Or your wife? And if she's going to fight you over your worship of a holy God, is the fight worth it? Same with the woman. Your husband keeping you from going to shul or worship, better do a gut check. That person is not going to be standing before the great white throne with you. You're going to be standing there all alone, naked. And he's going to ask you, why didn't you do what I told you to do? We were discussing obedience before service began. Why weren't you obedient? How hard is it? How hard is it to say, yes, Lord? When you know that the only answer to him is yes. You don't dare tell our sovereign no. Your answer is always yes. Not shown. It doesn't say in the Mishnah or the Talmud that Nachshon knelt before the Lord and says, should I go? Should I be the leader? Should I walk into the sea? No, those two resources that I'm reading from said that he looked around, he grabbed his staff. He didn't discuss it with his wife. He didn't discuss it with his kids or his grandkids. And everybody's looking at him like, what? What are you? He's going to drown. And all of a sudden the sea opens up. Because of his faith, 3 million people were saved. Think about that. Because of you. How many people that's watching you will be saved? My beautiful bride, last week's Torah portion really got to her. Just wiped her out. She got home and tears were in her eyes, and she says, all those babies, all those firstborn that were killed, that ended their prodigy. There's not going to be any children from them. There's not going to be any happy families. There's not going to be any grandkids, great-grandkids, when they were killed, it ended. And that's what happens to someone who doesn't follow Abba and is obedient. Their life, their legacy is ended. There's a poem, the last line of it is that when you die, all you will be is a memory. Nachshon's memory is that man. That man. He saved not just 3 million, but 3 million that lived after them. The millions after them. So what's your prodigy today? Are you going to step off into the deep blue on faith alone that Abba sent you? You're going to do it. It may cost you your life. It may cost you your livelihood. It may cost you your friends. It may cost you your family members. We all have experienced that. When you turn from the secular world and you begin to be obedient to God, you're going to pay a price. But isn't it worth it? Father, I thank you so very much for this day. I thank you for loving us. I thank you for caring for us. I thank you for providing for us. And I thank you for telling us to step out in faith. In the name and merit of Yeshua, I pray. Amen.